Okay, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today is Thursday, January 27th. We are going to continue learning about the life of Rebbe Nachman of Breslov. So, last week we talked about Rebbe Nachman was living in Osatin in the house of his father in law, and he started becoming more well known. And then he moved to a city called Medvedevka. And there he started getting a lot more followers and a lot more people. There's a bunch of stories over there, but we're going to start, and that's when he also traveled to Eretz Yisrael. It's a very, very famous journey that Rebbe Nachman took to Eretz Yisrael. It's written in Shifchei Haran, actually, which was printed together with Sichos Haran in some certain editions. And it's an incredible story. If you ever read it, maybe we'll read it one day on the channel. But it's more of like a public, not public, but it's written down and already translated and things like that. So there would really be no point of me just stop reading it. But anyway, so it says. So we're gonna pick off. We're gonna pick up when Rebbe Nachman came back from Eretz Yisrael, when he came out from the land of Israel. And when he moved to Zlatopolia, very unexpectedly just came in there and moved in. So let's see what that means. Let's see what this all is about. Okay, so it says over here, in the year Tav Kuf Nun Ches, Rebbe Nachman was in the land of Israel. And when he came back, his daughter, Adol, he made a shidduch, his daughter Adol with Rav Doiv, im Kvoid Harav Hagoyin HaChassid HaKadosh HaMeforsim. Marenu HaRav Doiv, who was the Rav Av based in of the Kehilas Kodesh of Chamelnik. Right? And that's when they find. So they made the shidduch, and after he came back from Eretz Yisrael, he sat for about a little bit more than a year in the city of Medvedevka. Okay, and then in the year Tav Kuf Samach, okay, Rabbi Nachman saw with his hasagas, whatever he needed to see, and whatever he knew, that he needed to move to the city of Zlatopolia. Okay, and in that year, at the end of Rosh Chodesh El, that's when the wedding of his daughter Adol was, that we just mentioned, that they made the shidduch, and the wedding was in the city of Chamelnik, and everybody was there at the wedding. And after the wedding, Rebbe Nachman did not return to Medvedevka. Rather, he went with everybody in his family. He went straight to Zlatopolia. And he went into the city without telling anybody from the Anshe of the Kehila there, the people who ran the city, whatever. He didn't ask them if he could move there. He just rented an apartment and he just moved there. So I think, like, from these stories that we see, like, before you moved into a city, then you have to kind of like I don't know if you have to like get permission, but you kind of have to like let it be known that you're moving there. I think especially if you were some sort of like a tzaddik as well. And that was like what the regular way to do things. But Rebbe Nachman decided that he needed to just move in right away, and that's what he did. So it says over here, but even though he didn't ask anybody, he just moved in unexpectedly. The Anshe Kehila, the people who ran the city over there, whatever, the people in the city, they accepted him with a great honor. And on that Rosh Hashanah, many people came to gather with him, about 100 people, and he didn't prepare anything for them. He was just like he had just moved there. Kilu was at the end of El, so only a few days before Rosh Hashanah. And everybody, but the people in Zlatopolia took all the guests in, all the breslovers in, with great honor. And they asked Rebbe Nachman that he should daven in the Beis Knesset Hagadol Sham with his people, because it was a very big space and everything. And Rebbe Nachman did. He davened with them there in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And they gave to him also great honor that everything should, like he should be leading the davening, like his people should be leading the davening, whatever minhagim they wanted to do, whatever it was. And also about Tekiyah Shofar and everything. And everything was very, very good. Now is when the machlokes, most of the machlokes started on Rebbe Nachman. So on Yom Kippur, many of the Chassidim already that were with Rebbe Nachman and Rosh Hashanah already returned to their houses, and Rebbe Nachman was there on Yom Kippur without any of his people. And the Bali Tefillah, the people who were leading the davening on Yom Kippur in the shul there, were a father and a son-in-law from the city. And the father-in-law was Meforsim Sham Leish Gadol Chashuv. He was one of the Chashuv people. Umezikne Ugedoyle Chasidei Hazakin. And he was also one of the oldest Chasidim of the Zakin. The Zakin, when we say the word Zakin, we're referring to the Shpol Zayda. The Shpol Zayda was a different Rebbe back then who eventually started a very big machlokes on Rebbe Nachman. We'll get into that. I've spoken about that in other videos as well. And this is when so here is the Makar, here is the source of where it all began. It says that in Tfilas Ne'ilah of Yom Kippur, the end of Yom Kippur, we do Ne'ilah. So the son-in-law was davening for the Amid, which was not in the Ratzon of Rabbeinu. Rabbeinu did not want him to daven. And he started like screaming or luluing, I don't know exactly what the Lashon is over here, but Emsa Tefillah, and he was not able to he wasn't screaming. He couldn't start davening Bechlal. Right? He wasn't able to daven until he was forced to leave the Amid, which was very, very embarrassing. And then they put someone under after him. And afterwards on Moitzi Yom Kippur, Rabbeinu said b'divrei tzachos, he said it in a comedic way, on the Indian of the people who were davening on that Yom Kippur. It says that this is like the coin that Avraham Avinu had. Zakin uzakin mitzad echad. There was a zakin. There was an old man and an old woman on one side, and then there was a young man and a young girl on the other side. That is from the Gemara in Baba Kama Daf Tzadik Zayin Amid Beis. What does that mean? How does that relate to what Rebbe Nachman was talking about these people davening on Yom Kippur? It says that in the beginning, first the father-in-law davened, and then the son-in-law davened, and both of them davened for their wives. They were davening just to get covered from their wives, like, oh, I know how to daven and whatever. And V'amar Az, and Rabbi Nachman said that he wanted to be oisik in his davening about the gezeras hapripnyatzia, which was that the masters took from the meziga miyad hamachnas. They took money or something. I'm not sure exactly. There was a certain type of gezerah that was happening. Rebbe Nachman wanted to deal with that gezerah when he was davening or whoever was going to daven. He says, and if you would know how much the samach mem and if you would know how much the samach mem stands in front of something when you're trying to do something holy, or when you're trying to be misgaber, he's always going to try to stop you. And this guy came to daven, and I pushed him, which means that I guess like Rebbe Nachman caused this guy to not be able to daven because he was messing up Rebbe Nachman's avodas with this gezer. That's the gist of the story. Because of this guy started a thing on Rebbe Nachman, and he went to Shpoila, which was next to Zarapolia, and he started telling the Zakin about all these things that Rebbe Nachman did this to me and this or whatever, until there was a great machlokes gadol on Rebbe Nachman, and then from then on in, that's when the machlokes started. I believe that this was in the year 1802, if I remember correctly, 1802. Until everybody in the city, mamash, was against Rebbe Nachman, and he had great yisurin from this. He was like mamish sitting on thorns there. That's the lashon that it says over here. And it's interesting because it says over here that in the beginning, Rebbe Nachman and the Shpoel Zayda actually had a great relationship. They had great love for each other. And the Zakin was like mevatel himself in front of Rebbe Nachman. But from the time that Rebbe Nachman entered into Zlatopolia, which was close to the border of Shpola, right? So he was very territorial back then, all these tzaddikim and everything like that. And also because of this guy making malshinas, also because he said lashon hara about Rabbeinu, because of this nisar machlokes agdala. This is when the machlokes started. But Rabbeinu said, "I'm staying. I have to sit here from Shemayim. This is where I'm supposed to be." Because he was metakin the chet by sitting in Zlatopolia, he was fixing the sin of Yeravim ben Nevat. That's just Rebbe Nachman stuff, man. So now it says over here that the Rav Chassid and Meforsin, the Magid Mesharim of Mitarvitza. This is the Magid of Mitarvitza, was one of Rebbe Nachman's Talmidim who started becoming close to him, I think, in the city of Medvedevka. He was actually older, much older than Rebbe Nachman, I believe. But he became a student of Rebbe Nachman. And he asked Rebbe Nachman, why didn't you send me to the city first, to get permission, and then everything would be okay, and all these types of things. And Rebbe Nachman says, if I wanted to wait, I would have waited. But I can't wait. I have to be here from Shemayim. Let me just see over here. All right, so that's basically what's going on over here, right? And then let's just go a little bit more over here. So it says that Rebbe Nachman sat there for 2 years, and he brought a lot of people closer to Hashem Yisbarach, and also the tzaddik Rav Yitzchak Isaac. Rav Yitzchak Isaac, also one of the major Talmidim of Rabbi Nachman, was Niskar Sham. He became close to there when Rabbi Nachman was sitting in Zlatopolia, and he said many Torahs there, and everything was good. Okay. Let's see a little bit over here. If we have any over it. So now it just talks about more in the Sefer over here about this inyan of the machlekes between Rabbi Nachman and the Zakin. So let's see over here. This is interesting, this last little zach, and then we'll move on from over here. And then from here he moves on to breslov, and that's when, other things start happening. It says over here that I heard that one time Rebbe Nachman was sitting with the Shpoel Zayda. They wanted to make peace between them, so they had a meeting between them or something like that. And the Zakin, the Shpoel Zayda, said to Rebbe Nachman, could it be that an old person like me, I don't even have teeth, would want machlekes? And he took the finger of Rebbe Nachman and he put it inside his mouth to show him that he doesn't have any teeth. And so he says, but I want to ask you a few things that I heard that you said. So he said, first, did you say that there is an ear of Zlatopolia in Shemayim? So Rabbeinu said, how is that Mama Rabbeinu beperish Arim Gedolos B'tzuras B'Shemayim? Rabbi Nachman said, this is the parish of what the Gemara of the Rabbanim said in the Gemara, Arim Gedolos B'tzuras B'Shemayim. Gemara Chulin Daf Tzadik Ayin Beis, Yalkut Ruveni, different things like that. Kishem Sheyesh Arm Lamata, Kach Yesh Arm Lamala. Just like there's cities below, there's also cities above. There's also mentioned in the Zohar Kodesh. Then he asked Rabbi Nachman, is it true that you said in Zlatopolia you're fixing the chet of Yeravim ben Nevat? And Rabbi Nachman said yes. And he said the Indian is he explained to him some of the Indian. I'm not really sure exactly what it was. And then he asked him again, is it true that you said that you were in the Heichel of the Mashiach? And Rebbe Nachman said to him, Uma b'chach, and if so, what? He said, you were also there and you didn't find me? Rak mach mashatim shalom oisi im telchu imi lebeisi l'shtoisi mi te'er kav b'yachav dilam mashatim chazim drechem mashimatim matim schadim chazim zas b'lam tam b'bin shal davar. So Rebbe Nachman said that, so he says that because you're asking about these avoidas, he says, if you come with me to my house and you drink tea and we'll drink tea and coffee together, and you let the world know that you're going back in your words, you're going away from the machlokes and that you were wrong, I'll explain to you all the reasons and all these things that I'm doing over here. And the Zakin said to him, first I'm going to go to my house, and then afterwards I'm going to come to you. And when the Zakin went from Rebbe Nachman heard him say, see how the Shpola is basically saying to himself, how would I look now in front of the Negidim, in front of the rich guys, if I go with Rebbe Nachman to his house and I make shalom? It was all politics, basically. And Rabbi Nachman said that if he would have gone to my house, like I said to him, it's possible that I would have had shalom. Aval achshav, I'll never have shalom with him, and then the machlokes will only get stronger. But even though I'm still not scared of him at all, because he already showed me that he doesn't have any teeth. And this something also has to do with the shaykhis of the story of the spider and the fly with the mountain of teeth there and everything like that. So you can look at all this stuff up. It's very interesting. All these things are connected. And that is basically what happened to Rebbe Nachman in Zlatopolia. What time is it? Let me just see. Alright, that's where we're going to stop today. And then next week we're going to talk about how Rebbe Nachman moved from Zlatopolia to Breslov and did things like that. Alright, thank you for watching.